putting aside the issue of your own fixed penalty notice, did you, and it's important I ask you this, did you apologise for the impression that had been given that staff in Downing Street take the rules and the regulations less than seriously? You, in fact, I think, described yourself as sickened yourself and furious.
I did, and I repeated that on many occasions.
But you acknowledge, of course, that all the breaches proved to have taken place, but the general behaviour took place in Downing Street on your watch.
I do, but I wish to just to stress, and I've always, and I've been clear for everything I've said. I take full responsibility for everything that the government said or did during the pandemic. I continue to regret very much what happened, but I really want to emphasise, and you talk about the impression, the version of events that has entered the popular consciousness about what is supposed to have happened in Downing Street is a million miles from the reality of what actually happened in Number 10. And I speak on behalf of, I know, of hundreds and hundreds of hard-working civil servants who thought that they were following the rules. And I know, I don't think have been properly characterised by some of the, not just the media coverage, but the dramatic representations that we're now having of this are absolutely absurd. And I want to repeat that. They're a million miles from the reality of what happened.
Mr. Johnson, one of the problems is that I've received a number of messages from bereaved people as I've travelled around the United Kingdom, and so many of them who suffered horrific grief during lockdown. Yes. We all know that it's far more traumatic even than many other kinds of grief. And then I'm afraid partygate has been called exacerbated.
Of course, and I totally understand their feelings, and you know, what can I do but again apologise for mistakes that we made in Number 10. What I'm trying to tell you and to tell the inquiry is that I think that the characterisation, the representation there has been of what civil servants and advisors were doing in Number 10 has been a travesty of the truth. They thought they were working very, very hard, which they were, and I certainly thought that what we were doing was, as I've said before, within the rules. So that is in no way to attempt to mitigate the offence that has been caused, and I understand the offence that has been caused, and I apologise for the offence that has been caused. And you know, if I had my time again, of course I'd have done things differently in Number 10, and I would have sent repeated messages round saying, please, you know, make sure that everybody can see that you're properly following the guidance. So, frankly, I think, as some of your witnesses have said, it was logistically impossible to do that. But anyway, I think people know my views on this.
You say it was a million miles away from the reality of Downing Street. One of your most competent and sterling civil servants, Helen McNamara, said in live evidence to my lady, I'd find it hard to pick one day when the regulations were followed properly inside that building.
But that's the point I'm making, because are
you saying that this was all a matter of the breaches of the regulations on account of
what? If you look at carefully,
the formulaic obligations of walking down corridors and having to work in the building structure of Downing Street.
If you read what Helen said in her evidence to you, I think actually that is what she was driving at. She says there was one meeting where we were able to do things strictly by the absolute letter of the guidance, and it was unsustainable, and that was why the guidance was written in a way so as to allow businesses to have flexibility. And the particulars, I mean, I've been around this issue many times, and forgive me, but the situation in Downing Street, the conditions of work there, we were having to call, as the inquiry has heard, meeting after meeting after meeting, at all hours of the day and night, in rapid succession, and summon people rapidly to different meetings. As Helen McNamara rightly says, in those conditions, it was very hard to follow the letter of the guidance, and I've tried to explain that many times. But I understand the offence that has been caused.
May we have 226-239, page 13, please? This is around that time in the revelation of the partying in Downing Street, a WhatsApp communication between yourself and your Cabinet Secretary. Your Cabinet Secretary, Simon Case, was originally obligated to carry out an investigation, but for a variety of reasons which we needn't explore, he did not do so. But in the context of that debate at 23:04 on the 17th of December, Boris Johnson, in retrospect, we all should have told people, above all Lee Kane, to think about their behaviour in number 10 and how it would look. But now we must smash on. So that wasn't about technical breaches of the regulations because of the planning in Downing Street. It was a reference to behaviour, a behaviour of your officials and advisors, and you knew how it would look, but you didn't care that much.
I did care, and to say that I didn't care about what was happening generally is the complete opposite of the truth. And yes, I think that we could have done more in number 10 to insist that people thought about the way their behaviour would be perceived by others. And I made this point repeatedly to the various inquiries that have been held already into this matter. And we should have thought about what it would look like to have people out in the garden when other people were not allowed in the garden, even though the garden was being used as a place of work.